Mark of the Rani was the third story for season 22 with Colin Baker at the helm of the TARDIS. Filming commenced from the 23rd of October to the 1st of November. Now Mark of the Rani is the one Rani story what slips under the radar compared to the other two Rani stories, Time the Rani and Dimensions in Time. Join me and JArkhamReviews as we travel back to the Industrial Revolution. Look out for some creepy scarecrows, tree mines and a mysterious bathhouse. Hello and welcome to the much anticipated Mark of the Rani location video. I'm joined by my good friend JArkhamReviews, my Night Thoughts buddy.
Hello.
So today we're at Bliss Hill Victorian Town Museum in Telford, which obviously Mark of the Rani is all about the Industrial Revolution, and Telford as a town is the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. And fun little fact, Thomas Telford is name checked within this story in episode 1. Now Mark of the Rani had two working titles, one being Enter the Rani and Far Too Clever for Their Own Good. I think that's what it is, something like that, but that's it. So yes, by some lovely trees, who knows, these trees could be the Rani's Luddites experiments.
Here we are for Mark of the Rani, one of the strangest episodes I think in all of 80s Who. It's a perfect example of two-part pacing, yet for some reason it's strangely forgotten. It manages to balance scientific intrigue along with a historical setting, featuring one of the most underrated villains in Doctor Who history.
Would be quite a nice little way to start this video by talking about our brief thought on Mark of the Rani as a story. So James, what do you think of Mark of the Rani? Is it underrated? Is it a story what deserves more love? Because it's one of those stories what's kind of forgotten about on the DVD shelf.
It's one of those stories with kind of an essence nostalgia for me, because I went to HMV in about 2010 and I couldn't decide what to get, Mark of the Rani or Survival. Ended up getting them both, of course, because you guilt-trip your parents into buying Doctor Who stuff. And with Mark of the Rani, it was the first one I watched, and I surprisingly really enjoyed it. There are bits in the story where I think you kind of do get bored, just due to maybe a bit of expositioning or maybe just a bit of silly plot. But in terms of just a two-part story made of 45-minute episodes, it really is a fantastic piece of pacing in just how much it manages to achieve. Of them landing, then there's the Master, then the TARDIS gets taken away through that.
And you got the Rani's plot point.
Yeah, you bring in the Rani, and then Colin gets chucked down a hill. It does a lot in just two 45-minute episodes, and I think it's actually really impressive. For such a low-budget episode, it actually quite looks very good, especially how they built this unique Rani's TARDIS. I've always been fascinated by her console.
Shame it was only seen once, wasn't it?
I know, because then in Dimensions in Time they didn't even bother to recreate it.
No, not at all.
But with Mark of the Rani, it really is a guilty pleasure story. I think Colin's second best of his era. Of course, first is the Two Doctors. But again, it is in kind of an awkward place. Perry's actually in a different costume, which I think adds something unique.
It's kind of like Unquiet Dead in a way, with Rose having that different dress.
It is.
It adds that type of different
and a bit like him in Black Orchid.
Yeah, that's true.
With Nissen and Tiga.
And Adric, yeah. For me, Mark of the Rani, I've got a soft spot because it's literally down the road from me. When I found out that, I kind of like, wow, this is amazing, this is incredible. And I've always just loved it as a story because I just like the idea of the Rani manipulating this history and point in time where her experiments can go unnoticed, in the form of she's messing with the Luddites, and obviously Luddites are against technology. So I think it's brilliant. I think that this story achieves what Time Lash couldn't, because obviously Time Lash, you see the Sixth Doctor team up with H.G. Wells, and you see the Sixth Doctor team up with George Stephenson within this, another historical figure within this. And I feel like this is the perfect Colin Baker story, in my personal opinion, maybe because I'm biased, but I feel like it achieves a lot in the 45-minute format, and it's just a really good story, and I just love historicals.
It's a lot of fun, quite dark, bit of nostalgia.
And it's very pantomime-esque, because Ainley is very much the pantomime master, and yeah, I just think the pairing between Kate O'Mara and Anthony Ainley just worked rather well. It
was really magical, and it's kind of a shame that it was never touched upon again. There was this one-off episode, and I think it worked really well, and I think it really made the Rani her best appearance, not only because, you know, of course it's naturally a good story, but in the fact that she actually has somebody of equal evil intelligence to kind of bounce off of. Well, this story really shows her biochemistry, with her sort of taking the essence of like people's brain, like the little syrup,
what stops people from sleeping, and that's what made the Luddites quite restless. So I think this is the best example for the Rani, like you say. The Doctor is very much neutral ground within this, because obviously the Master's got a bit unfinished business with Perry, and the Rani's just like, oh, you're just getting in my way, you're both hindrance, because she's very much working for her own agenda. And I guess the Master is, but the Master's kind of trying to use the Rani's skills, because he takes the little maggots, the parasites. So this is the first scene you see in Mark of the Rani with the big old wheel, where we see the miners leave to go to the Batman. Of course, this was later used within episode 1, where the Doctor is hanging on for dear life when he gets attacked by the Luddites. The Lord Ravenscroft saves the Doctor's life with the big old gun. So here we have the most famous location in Mark of the Rani. This is the Rani's bathhouse, where her devilishly schemes happened. Obviously 2 windows have been added since the 1980s story, and of course over here this used to be the Miners' Tavern, but obviously that is long gone because of a landslide happening in 1985.
Right here is where we see Anthony Ainley for the first time out of the Scarecrow costume in his big grand reveal. Here is where the Rani's TARDIS was, and this is where, of course, Anthony Ainley goes to enter the Rani's TARDIS, of course, and then later the whole thing blows up with an incident with a dinosaur. So, around here is where we see the Doctor and Perry for the first time, straight after they get off the horse and cart. And if you look, the same broken wall is still there, the same bricks missing.
One of the most iconic locations from the story, because Mark of the Rani kind of has a double cliffhanger in one, with the TARDIS being pushed down the shaft, and of course Colin going down the hill on the trolley. Ever heard of the famous Lee Sing Chang?
Well, now and then. Now and then.
Right, to the rectangle.
Off we go.
Da 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 da.
That's up for the outtakes.
Outtake, leaf in.